Testing 1 2 3. Can y'all hear me? Welcome in, welcome in. How we doing? Happy Tuesday, friends. Can y'all hear me? Once I know that y'all can hear me, we will hop on into it. But in the meantime, I hope y'all are having a good Tuesday. I ate some pasta before stream, so I'm nice and full and ready to goddamn go. Yeah, once I get the thumbs up that y'all can hear me, we can hop into it. Just a quick check. Yep, okay, beautiful. Y'all can hear me. Very good, very good. Yeah, I know, we had some wild opposition over today on TikTok, but that's okay because now we get to play our life and hang out and have fun. So it'll be all good now. We're not gonna worry about that shit. I also had to check and see if y'all could hear me well because I am doing a different setup today. I'm actually wearing headphones with a mic, so hopefully that goes well. Some chill vibes with our favorite ocean dude. Yeah, y'all will have to let me know how the sound comes through and all that shit because I'm using the mic I used during Spider-Man Sunday. So hopefully we'll be chill. We left off with our summer boy, our sweet baby Angel Cove, and we just finished with Miranda's birthday. So today the goal is to at least get through summer work, escapade, and soiree. Those are the goals today. If we move on to Derek's stuff, that'll be a different thing. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so I will not rely on River to know if my mic sounds good, so I will ask Darkwing. Darkwing, do I sound good to you? Because if River's ears are all plugged up, that's not gonna help us. Okay. Solid, beautiful. Thank you, Darkwing. Appreciate you. Okay, we are gonna hop into summer work. You stared out the window, watching the scenery pass by as your mom drove down the quiet streets at a leisurely pace. A singer crooned sweetly from the radio, turned low enough that you could block it out if you wanted. You turned away from the window when your mom suddenly spoke up. Well, kids, are you excited to be going to the library? Oh, we went to the library before. Thank you, Darkwing. I appreciate that. Yeah, we went to the library last step. I guess. The title of this moment makes me believe we're going for schoolwork, not fun, though, so I'm gonna go with a guess. You don't sound so sure there, Blake. Mom wasn't wrong. It was what it was, but your real interests lay elsewhere. There hadn't ever been a time where you were super excited to go to the library. What about you, Cove? You're a part of the conversation too. Not really. If I didn't have school stuff to do, I would probably be somewhere else. I get it. I wasn't so keen on the library in my day either. Really? Well, no. Unless you count under 6 years old as my day. She grinned over at the two of you briefly. Mom refocused on driving, humming along with the radio under her breath. You went back to staring outside. As you passed one street, you caught a glimpse of someone in brightly colored clothing passing out balloon animals. It sparked a faraway memory, and you felt your lips twitching up before consciously remembering why. How long ago was it that you and Cove watched the amazing Alexander performing magic tricks? Yeah, hey Cove, do you remember that one guy? Maybe I do. Alexander, the amazing Alexander. He gave us dolphin balloons for free. At this reminder, Cove smiled faintly. Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's ever there now. Maybe we should go more often to check. Maybe. That was the first time we ever went down that street together, I think. I miss my balloon. He was a good dolphin for that one afternoon I had him. Yeah? Hey Cove, what were you going to name your balloon? You never told me. Oh, huh. I don't know. I can't remember what kid me was thinking. Probably something obvious like Flipper. You couldn't help the way your own smile curled up higher at the sentiment. You wanted to say something else, but couldn't quite think of what, and so just settled back into your seat. When silence filled the car again, you returned your attention to the window. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. You leaned your face to the sunshine, tempted to close your eyes as the gentle rays warmed your cheeks. They're so cute, I love them. Blake? Huh? You lifted yourself up a bit more, seeing your mom twisting her torso to face you, confused, from the front seat of the car. Next to you was nothing. Cove's car door was already open. You had reached the destination before you even realized it. I was asking, what time should I pick you two up? Oh, 4 should be okay. That should give you enough time to finish your summer assignments, or at least make a large enough dent. Thanks, Mom. You hopped out of the car, remembering to grab your backpack at the last second. Alright then, have fun, you two. Yeah, fun. Your mom snorted, but you couldn't help pouting a little. A beautiful afternoon like this, and you were going to the library to do homework. The two of you went right to the door of the library. Cove reached it first and tugged it open, stepping inside. He kept it propped open so you could pass through behind him. Ooh, I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on just a second. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. See, when I'm quick enough, I can save y'all from the sneeze. Other times, I'm not so quick and it sneaks up on me even more. Damn. Allergies or whatever the fuck it is. Where were we before I was so rudely interrupted by my own goddamn nose? Jesus. The air was much cooler inside the building than it had been for the few seconds you spent outdoors. The space was filled with the soft din of papers being moved and whispered voices. Hey, You seemed kinda distracted on the ride here. Just enjoying the day, I would think. Cove looked dubious at the vague answer. Okay. What? Don't you think it's nice out? I do. Your study buddy was standing at the front of the library by a long rack of magazines. Predictably, he was flipping through one of the various sports players with one of the various sports players on the cover, looking intense enough to burst off the page. His head snapped up when he walked over, beaming widely. Hey Blake, Cove. Hi, were you waiting for a while? Not super long. Derek put the magazine back in its place, then he gestured at to the space at his side. Most of the tables were empty, only a few people leafing through the books. There's plenty of room. In unspoken agreement, the three of you started moving towards the seating area, Derek taking 2 steps for every one of Cove's. Oh yeah, Derek's a short boy. We love him. Oh, guess what? I'm pretty sure I've mastered the fake shot. I'll show you some other time. Derek looked over to gauge the level of interest. Do you know it? Soccer's not really for me. All of the sporty stuff Cove liked was beach-related. Surfing, snorkeling, bodyboarding. And he didn't play a lot of team games, but he did like doubles volleyball. How does it go? Derek's eyes flashed with excitement as he explained. Well, you move the ball like you're going to go one way, then. He demonstrated by running a few steps ahead, showing off some fancy footwork. You do it like this, so it does it like that. You laughed, bobbing your head at his attempt to get the trick across with no ball. Shh. The three of you looked over to the checkout desk. The librarian stood behind it and was wearing a deep frown. Oof. Also, thank you, Darkwing. Yeah, apologetic, because it is a library, and we're coming in here like a couple of fucking animals, like it's a goddamn zoo or a park. Come on, Derek, be cool. This isn't the place, like, this isn't to show off your fucking soccer shit. Yeah, apologetic. He mouthed sorry, and she sighed before turning back to the book she was reading. Derek scratched his cheek, choosing not to let that derail things. So, what are you guys working on? I feel like I wouldn't have started a single thing. I hated summer homework. Like, summer work was such a bummer. Half the time I'd wait till like the week before, if we're being so honest. Yeah, you had yet to start a single assignment, sadly. Not that you hadn't tried, it just took a lot of time for you to understand what was being asked. Anyway, you had the assignments you needed to finish in your backpack. Now was the best time to choose which one to start with. Oh, I'd start with the math problems. I was good at math when I was in school. Yeah, I've got some math problems that need work. The atmosphere was good for studying, and you felt motivated to tackle them. There's some summer reading too. I have to go through an assigned book, but I'm gonna do that later since it doesn't need extra references or anything. What about you two? I've got a few worksheets. They looked pretty easy, but my school gave us 3 books to read. Can't they stick with just one? I'm doing a timeline for history. You all found a table close to the tall bookshelves and set up camp. Within seconds, pencils and folders and books were strewn out on the surface. Look at these two. Why are they so goddamn cute? I love my boys. I feel like I would be doodling and not actually doing my work. You lightly sketched on the paper, your tongue poking out between your lips as you did. You were in the middle of attempting a shark with toothy jaws open wide when you felt someone looking at you. You glanced up, seeing Cove looking over your scribbles. Cove's eyes rose to meet yours. It's nice. Are you gonna do the rest? Add the second dorsal fin? He pointed to a spot on the unfinished shark. Yeah, thanks. You pushed forward with your scribbly creation. It's funny how my math teacher said I wouldn't have a calculator with me everywhere, and then we all got smartphones. Fair. Yeah, I guess people don't think about, like, don't get me wrong, I think you should be able to do a certain amount of math on your own, but we also live in such a world where it's not always necessarily a bad thing to use the tools at your disposal. After some time, Cove shifted in his seat, twisting his back as if trying to work knots out of it. Feeling antsy? You paid enough attention to Cove to recognize when he was no longer feeling comfortable. Yeah, I'm gonna wander around for a bit. See you. I'm gonna stay here. I'm making good progress. I struggled with math. I was good with basics, but algebra was tougher. 1000% valid. I think it's important to remember that everyone's brains are kind of built different for different stuff. Like, I personally, math came really easily to me in school, but I struggled very much with history class. I couldn't remember, like, I couldn't keep all the dates and years and names straight in my head. I'm the same like that in real life, unfortunately, like, even outside of school. Like, I am that asshole that forgets people's birthdays on my own because dates just don't stick for me for some reason. Now, do we go with Cove, or do we try and stay and actually do work? I think we all know that obviously I'm going with Cove. Why would I stay here and do work when he's gonna wander? You might as well take the opportunity to refresh yourself before getting back to work. The two of you strolled away from where you'd been working. Your eyes roamed over the titles of books as you passed by. Some were dull, some intriguing, and others were just strange, but you didn't spot any that made you pause and pick it up. Looking for something? No, but something might catch my eye. You never know. I might go out of here, if there's enough time. His comment reminded you of the clock ticking away. Even after you'd finished your work for the summer, the countdown to the new school year would still be on track. Before you know it, we'll be back at class. Yeah, we just got out and it's almost here again. Are you looking forward to going back? Cove rubbed his arm, drawing your attention to the scar he'd earned as a reckless kid, with his far-off gaze. Not really. I don't want summer to end. I wish everything wasn't always decided for me. I want to grow up already. Cove didn't feel safe knowing it was others who really determined what his life was like. You understood that much. Smile supportively. You caught eyes and looked on understandingly in a way you hoped was comforting. But there's a chance we could end up in the same classes. That would be nice. You nodded, glad that he was cheering up some. Trust Cove to look on the bright side. I love that he's a little optimist. It's so fucking sweet. I was better in science, history, and literature. I was good at writing too. Solid, yeah. I did pretty well at math and science. I sometimes did good depending on what we were doing for like our English class, like depending on what we were reading or writing. History was honestly my biggest weak point. See, I love that Cove is a little optimist because I feel like I have a tendency to be kind of a pessimist sometimes. So I feel like we would just get along of like balancing each other out. I'd like that. A smile spread across his face, crinkling his eyes. What about you? Do you want to go back to school already? I like summer, but I'm ready to go back to school when I've got to. But yeah, so I feel like at some point I want to go through this and make like an extreme pessimist version of myself. That's just not to Jeremy level, but close. Cause yeah, genuinely as a kid, I struggled very much with just like I had that stank attitude of everything sucks, everybody sucks, wah. And it took a lot of like reflecting to fix that mentality. Now I'm finally to a point where it's like, yeah, some stuff is shit, but there's a lot of good too, and it's gonna be okay. It's interesting. There's more going on then. There was really no getting away from the topic of school right now. It prompted you to think back to the classes you were in. You pursed your lips. Hi, Joe, what's up? How you doing? I don't know why. Joe, when I tell you this literally Twitch censored you calling me Pookie, that was wild. But hi, Joe, welcome. Math class did keep my attention. You liked figuring out solutions to problems, especially if they're a bit hard at first. Back with food. River, what food are you munching on? I had noodles before I hopped on. Just noodles with butter, nothing fancy. Science class did fascinate me. I loved, especially when we got to do like hands-on stuff. You hoped there'd be more cool experiments this coming semester. I feel like my little artistic self would have loved an art class. Grilled cheese, hell yeah, grilled cheese. Grilled cheese fucking slaps sometimes. Yeah, art class. It wasn't mandatory at your school, but you definitely hoped to participate. Sometimes I liked English class. It really depended on what we were doing. You liked the books we had to read in English class. The writing assignments were engaging too. Yeah, it's literally just history class I got beef with. And that was all. Each lost in your own thoughts, you continued to stroll through the library for a little while longer, until Cove caught your attention again. We should probably head back. Yeah, let's go. Before you could take a step back, Cove cleared his throat, avoiding your gaze. Thanks for listening before. Anytime! I got you, ocean boy! Cove smiled, his cheeks pink. You jerked your head towards where Derek had been left studying. Time to get back to work. Cove and you rejoined with Derek and settled back in as quietly as you could manage. Work continued as normal from there. The sound of shuffling dragged you out of your head. You looked up, surprised to see Derek packing up. You're done? Derek casually shrugged, but you could tell he felt proud to be the first finished. I mean, that's fair. He stayed and worked while Cove and I went to wander the fuck around the library and procrastinate, as one does. Uh-huh. Told you it wasn't anything hard. What are you going to do now, I guess? Not was it even worth coming to the library for that? That feels lame. Yeah, what are you gonna do now? You wondered how Derek was going to spend his newfound freedom. I could look over what you're doing. Maybe I've got some tips that'll help. Aww. See, I'm torn because I feel like Derek should just be enjoying, like, his time. Like, he shouldn't be using his free time to help me with my work. He should be relaxing, if anything. But I know he likes to feel helpful. Oh, I'm torn. Because I know how he is about this. Y'all, do we have Derek look over our stuff or not? I hate making choices. Because it's not his fault that my character is, like, not focusing on their work. That's on us. That's not on him. Fine, I'll let Derek be helpful, I guess. That'd be great, thanks. I gotcha. With a smile, Derek leaned over your part of the table. He took some time to get the gist and point you in the right direction before turning it back over to you. Derek leaned on the back of his feet. Okay, I'm gonna look around while you guys finish. See you. Bye. See you. Back to working. Later on, Cove shifted in his seat, closing his book as he looked over the notes he'd been taking. Glancing away, you contemplated what you had done thus far, too. I think after we took that walk with Cove, I think I would have gotten, like, a little bit more in the working headspace. So I think probably, like, say probably about half. Just as you thought it hadn't been that difficult, you would only need to dedicate another day or so to it. Derek's advice made it easier in the end. Are you about ready? It's almost 4. Yeah, I think so. Come on. The both of you gathered up your books, and after returning the ones you'd used for reference to their proper shelves, set off to find wherever Derek had wandered off to. He was in the biography section. His back was to the two of you, one hand above his head and the other supporting himself against the shelf as he strained to grab one of the books. "Hey, Derek, we're ready." "Oh, okay." He glanced towards the sound of your voice, then up towards the shelf he was trying to reach. That was a struggle you knew all too well. "Do you need help with that?" Derek frowned, eyes flicking to Cove just for a second before shifting to look at the floor. Yeah, thanks." "Which one?" Derek directed Cove towards the book he wanted. It was an autobiography of someone you'd never heard of before. And then the three of you moved to the front of the library to wait for your rides. You stood close to the window and let out a content sigh, feeling the rays warm you from the slightly chilly library interior. "Got any plans after this?" "Gonna work on my technique. Can't get rusty while school's out." That answer was inevitable. Yeah, sounds about right for Derek. "Technique for what?" "Soccer. How about you two?" Yeah, come on, like I even knew he was talking about soccer. The words "you two" echoed in your mind. You knew what Derek meant, but why was it bringing a smile to your face to be linked with Cove, even in the most tenuous circumstance? "Nothing planned." "Me neither." "Oh, that's my dad's car." Derek lifted a hand to wave, pushing the door open and heading towards the blue pickup truck waiting in the parking lot. "See ya, Blake. Bye, Cove." You watched Derek jog off before scanning the area for your mom. Did you get everything done?" "Sort of. I saw you're basically done." He smiled, impressed. You felt pretty good about that. "I feel like I'll need to come back to the library again before summer's over." "I'll come with you. I still have those books to read anyway." You smiled at the idea. Despite not working on the same thing, it'd be nice to have some company. "I'm good with that." "Hey, do you want to do something with me after this?" "Oh, sure." Cove seemed eager towards the offer. You hadn't exactly expected him to say no, but the agreement still made you happy. The two of you smiled at each other. Cove looked away after a second, and so you did too, fidgeting with the hem of your shirt. It wasn't long before you spied your mom's car coming down the road. There she is. Time to go then. You climbed into the car, sliding into your usual seats and buckling the belts. "Hey kiddos, did you get a lot done?" "Yeah." "Nice." The car shifted into action, and you watched as the library shrunk into the distance. It wouldn't be the last time you saw it this summer, but at least you knew you were going to have company. You fielded questions from Mom while you tried to juggle a conversation with Cove. When she learned you two were planning on returning, she immediately offered to give you a ride next time. You continued to answer Mom's questions about what you'd been working on, then told her about your plans to stick with Cove after getting back. There was something knowing in her smile that made you pause just for a moment. But soon enough the trip was over. You had arrived back to your neighborhood. Cove had run over to his house real quick to drop off his stuff. You also made a pit stop to put your backpack away before heading out again. The two of you regrouped in the middle of the road, halfway between your houses. With everything wrapped up, you could now You could now freely enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Your conversation resumed as you both began walking down the street together. I just love that these two are such like peas in a pod. Like they are those best friends that are like attached at the fucking hip. The afternoon came and went. Dinner was eaten, and you were cleaning up the dishes left behind from it. Cove had elected to stay for the meal today. He passed you a couple plates to rinse in the sink. Even though he didn't have to, Cove asked to do at least something to help. You scrubbed the last of them and let out a satisfied sigh. Okay, they're done. I'm going upstairs now. You addressed your guest for the evening. Are you gonna come with me? Yeah, I don't have to go back till later. Take it easy, kids. Thank you for the help. When you got back to your room, you noticed your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. Cove plopped into your desk chair and spun it around a bit as he got comfortable. He watched you contentedly as you walked across the room. He didn't need or expect you to try entertaining him constantly. It was just nice to be near each other, even when nothing was going on. See, I love that. That kind of just like coexisting with each other like all the time because it's better to be together than not be together. That's everything. It's like the day he came over when it was too hot to do anything and they played hangman. You hefted your bag up onto the bed. It sunk into the comforter. With that, you started to sort through books and paper packets. Not all of it were things you'd need anytime soon. A small pile of the most important assets began to grow at the side of your backpack until you'd gone over it all. You had actually finished flipping through the contents, but that wasn't all of your work. You instinctively pulled the opening closer to you and peered inside. A second look through commenced, and then a third, and then you began to open the smaller pockets. You were missing your math assignment. Blake? By this point, Cove could tell something was wrong. That was part of your summer work that you had gotten done, and now it was gone. It hadn't been that noteworthy before, but the bag wasn't really zipped when you had first begun to look through. The work could have fallen out somewhere if you had it in the first place. Oh boy. Yeah, as a kid, I would have gotten stressed the fuck out. I will be back in just a second, y'all. I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all, I had to step away for just a minute. But I am back, and hopefully it'll be fine. Sorry, just Yoda being a butt munch. I had to go see what was going on. It's the fun thing about trying to be a streamer and have animals, because the two do not like to go together well. I don't know how people who are like parents to like human children do it, because Yoda is such a butt munch. But yeah, anyways, back to what we were doing. Ah, yes. I think I'd be upset. Yeah, my stress levels would shoot the fuck up. It was gone, and now you were going to have to replace everything you did for it. My math work isn't in my backpack. At your word, Cove jumped out of his seat. Oh crap, is there somewhere we can look? The bag was kind of open, so... He winced sympathetically. That left a lot of options for where it might be, most of them bad. You made a sudden bolt for the other side of your room. You started to scour the spot the backpack was originally left in. With nothing in sight there, you expanded the search to the rest of the space. Cove did his best to stay out of your way while keeping an eye open for your missing work. It was a frantic and ultimately fruitless effort. Your assignment wasn't here. Let's check downstairs. It might still be in your house someplace. Fine. Why, hello again. Is everything all right? Tell your mom what's going on. I unpacked my bag and one of my assignments wasn't there. Sweetie, I'm so sorry. What's missing? An assignment for school from the library today. Mom's eyebrows raised with concern at the answer. That's a pickle. I'll call right now. I think they might still be open. Thanks, Mom. You're welcome. Just leave it to me. Cove, honey, can you tell us if there was anything you noticed? You were with Blake, right? I saw the assignment when Blake had it out at the library. I don't remember them putting it away, but I'm pretty positive there was nothing left on the table when we were done. He spoke resolutely. Before now, he hadn't considered that something might have been left behind. You had felt the same when leaving, though it was hard not to second-guess things now. Your mom re-entered the scene a few minutes later. The look on her face was not promising. So I got a hold of one of the librarians. They don't have any papers with your name on them. Not that they could see anyway. I'm sorry. Thanks for trying. Of course. Sorry it was a bust. It's not your fault. Blake, hey, let's go over to my house. I can check my bag. Maybe I took it when we were packing up and didn't notice. Good idea. You got the impression this wasn't just about another place to look. You were stressed over the situation here. He was trying to give you an out. Let's go. Cove nodded and made his way to the door. Your mom stood by with creased brows. Take care, kids. Good luck. Bye, Moms. You briskly made the trip across the street, and in less than a minute you were going through the threshold of Cove's home. Cove had been in a rush earlier today, too. His backpack was tossed on the couch without a thought. No one had moved it since then. Also, we didn't get to do this last time, But let's take a little look at Cove's house, shall we? Love their kitchen. Their kitchen is really fucking cute. Cute couch. I like the little bowl. I like the pictures on the walls. I think I might actually have a slight preference for Cove's house over ours. Not me being jealous of his house. Goddamn. Don't get me wrong, they're both really fucking nice though. You can sit down or anything. I'm gonna look. He lifted up the backpack and unzipped it in a fluid motion. You were left to wait as he rooted around inside with an unexpected level of seriousness. I feel like being over here, maybe I'd calm down a little. I'd still be kind of irritated though. Yeah, with Cove, I think I'd be calming down a little bit. There was definitely some panic earlier, but you'd had a little time to sort your thoughts. Whether you found it or not, you'd be able to make things work. Still, it wasn't possible to stop Cove on his quest, so you tried to relax in the meantime. Shuffle, shuffle, searching for paper. Eventually, he sighed heavily. Cove's arm was still tucked away inside, but the search was over. Sorry. It was obvious there wasn't much of a chance Cove somehow had it this whole time. You just shrugged. That's all right. He dropped the backpack to the floor unceremoniously and spoke with a cautious tone. Is it? You're really okay? I really am. I can get another copy and rewrite the stuff. It's nice of you to ask about it. That's cool. I'm glad. Cove laughed lightly, and you noticed a small shake to it. He was clearly relieved you were going to get through this. It was sweet. He had been more upset about the loss than you. I think it's admirable how you can keep it together like that. Aww. Definitely grateful. I think that's very sweet. Thanks, Cove. It's easier to feel okay 'cause you're with me. He had to gain some courage to be that forward. Returning the favor was too much for him, and Cove broke eye contact. Don't give me credit. I'm trying to compliment you. The moment was interrupted by the piercing ring of the Holden home phone. You wordlessly stared at one another with raised brows. Cove's mouth formed a tiny frown. Kyra appeared from the hall on the far side of the living room, summoned by the noise. Hey, Cove. Hi, Blake. I didn't know you were here. She strolled on past. Your eyes followed her. Cove's mom answered the call, giving a chipper greeting to whoever was on the other end. A few uh-huhs and mm-hms later, Kyra thanked the person and placed the phone down once more. Blake, that was your ma. She said your stuff was in the car. Really? That was what I was told. Now I'll just return to the guest room. You can have your privacy. Cove's face cycled from shock to sour as his mom made her escape, laughing. Why are they why are the parents in this game such goobers? Genuinely, they all are just like, mwahaha, scheming and plotting and sharing these little fucking parent looks. Like, leave them alone. Leave them be. He shook the interruption off and refocused on you. They've got it. As you guessed, this wasn't gonna be a big deal. They've got it. Cove smiled crookedly and shrugged one shoulder. We should probably head to your house. Your moms might want to talk to you. Yeah, my parents really care about me. They had kept searching even after you left, and because of that, it all worked out. Cove nodded in agreement. Cove, it means a lot that you stuck with me. Thanks. He brightened up with sparkling eyes. Anytime, Blake. While stepping toward the door together, there was a thought in your head that you knew to be true. You were going to be there for one another with the small things and when it came to the big things. Stop, they're so fucking cute. I love them. Okay. Oh. Taking a quick little breather. Lots of fucking reading, but we're doing great, buddies. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moments left, and then it'll be in Summer Ended. Beautiful, wonderful, 10 out of fucking 10. One more sip of water, and then we will hop into Escapade. You looked up, noticing the sun was finally setting. You had been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. Ooh, I love watermelon. The snack definitely makes me happy. Hell yeah, let's go, watermelon! You picked up another slice. Even though you already had dinner, you were still delighted to make room for watermelon. You turned to look at Cove. You both had been sitting in comfortable silence for a while now. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts and his own slice of watermelon. Chuckling, you watched as his face twisted in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit a seed into the bush. Not that I bet I can spit a seed farther than you. Hell yeah, I want to see them do this. Immediately, you shoved the majority of what was left of your watermelon slice into your mouth just to get a seed to prove your point. As soon as you could, you sent that seed sailing into the middle of the street. Did you see that, Cove? Cove burst into laughter that slowed to a wide grin. You could tell he was equal parts surprised and impressed. Can you do that again? I didn't see where it landed. Of course I can. You popped another seed into your mouth and focused on where the last one landed. Setting the seed free, you got it to go even further this time. Not impressing your crush with spitting watermelon seeds. What is this? Not bad. Not bad. You had Cove chuckling again. It was taking a lot of focus to stay looking serious and not to break into laughter yourself. I'd like to see you try. I will. Cove took in a mouthful of watermelon, face grimacing when he had the seed. Then his expression morphed into a focused look, and he sent the seed flying, landing in a similar spot to yours. Wait, you gotta do too. I need another try. He spoke before you could even comment on his non-victory. His determination got you laughing. He quickly sent another closer to where your second one landed. Seems we're evenly matched for now. Yeah, for now. Not them making little weird-ass competitions, and I fucking love it. They're so cute. For the next several minutes, you both kept carving seeds from your slices and giggling at the ridiculousness of the competition. Eventually, a truce was called, and you both went back to eating the neglected watermelon flesh. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one is your third already. Who cares? Is that bad? It tastes really good. No, it's not bad. Don't be screwing with Cove about how much. Listen, I am like 5'3" and like 100 pounds. I'm little, but I can eat a majority of a watermelon by myself. Like that first watermelon of the season, forget about it. I eat that whole damn thing right up. No, it's alright. You're fine, Cove. It isn't super filling and there's still a lot left. Why not? Alright, that's all I needed. He picked up a fourth slice with confidence and looked at you. His smile stretched ear to ear. You eat as much watermelon as you want, Ocean Boy. I do not care. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down on the plate next to him. Are you okay? Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice anything? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off of your front step. Immediately, you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right. Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Booming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes towards his front door and reveled in the moment. Definitely excited. If Cove's excited, I'm matching that energy. What do you mean? You closed your eyes and threw your head back, letting the rain shower over you. The cool drops felt so right after the warmth of the day. Feeling energized, you ran over to Cove and laughed at how soaked he already was. Not that he cared because he was busy spinning in the middle of the street. Following his lead, you spun yourself until you were dizzy. Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped, and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Sorry, y'all. I had a tickle in my throat and I didn't want to put you through that. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair, combing it back. He frowned. It's over. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. Well, it was fun. Yeah, it's so cool that it happened. You then looked over at your door and sighed. You knew Ma wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove rubbed his arm awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically. You can dry off at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. Thanks, let's do that. Yeah? Okay. His whole demeanor brightened. You figured he must have felt relieved to help you avoid getting in any trouble. Cove led you inside and you stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels. I've just got to dig them out of the hall closet. Not that I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too. Cove would lose his mind. Cove would so lose his shit, but why am I tempted to do it though? No, because my character wearing like his shirt would be so fucking cute. Why do I think I'm gonna do it though? I'm such a bad influence for these characters, I can't. I'm constantly scheming on them. Fuck it, we going for it, buddies. I think I'm gonna need to borrow some clothes from you too. Cove didn't have any of the towels yet, but he came back into eye shot so you could see him stare at you flatly and roll his eyes. Ha ha, we're not exactly the same size. You'd be swimming in my clothes. I'm not joking. It'd be nice to borrow a shirt. Oh, poor Cove. Poor ocean boy. He raised an eyebrow, and a tiny frown paired with a blush appeared on his face. Oh, I mean, if you're serious, I'm just gonna dry my stuff off, but I could get something for you. Thanks, Cove. He's not gonna say no to my character. Be so fucking for real. He loves them too much. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time. He wasn't making much eye contact, but had towels in hand, plus what seemed to be one of his pajama shirts. It was a bright pink color with a dark brown seashell pattern all over. You were certain it'd look great on him. So, well, here it is. I hope that works. He's so flustered. Poor boy. Thanks. You accepted both the towel and the shirt. You wrapped the cloth around your neck temporarily and took a trip to his bathroom to change. The shirt was old but very soft. You already felt more comfortable just thinking about having it on instead of your current damp attire. You left your shirt over the shower curtain rod to dry, patted yourself down with the towel, and slipped Cove's shirt on. You wrapped your arms around your torso. The change didn't completely fix your predicament, but it was definitely an improvement. Despite Cove's prior comment being pretty on the money, it was huge on you, but it was dry. And you couldn't deny it was a little bit thrilling to wear a piece of his clothing. You almost couldn't believe it was true. Not wanting to keep Cove waiting, you promptly returned to the living room. He looked up to greet you after hearing you come back down the hall. How'd it go? Is it good? It looks good. What? Really? He chuckled a broken laugh, unsure what the proper thing to say about this kind of situation was. Keeping eye contact was even more of a challenge for him than before. Even though it doesn't fit me? Yeah, it's big, sure, but that's not bad. It's actually just really nice. You got the impression that just as you felt some excitement at wearing his clothes, he was having a similar reaction to seeing you in it. Stop, they're so cute. I love them. I love them so much. They're so sweet. Thanks, Cove. You're welcome. A sudden call caught both of your attentions. I thought I heard voices. Cove's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin. What happened here? You're both wet. There was a sun shower. Badass. Cove smiled back at his parent. We came inside to dry off. My moms don't want me going into my house when I'm wet. So I told Blake to come back here. That was very sweet of you, baby. She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came to Kyra's eyes. I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to beat standing around the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove only offered a shrug and a bent smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. Okay, sure. Why not? Yeah, let's do it. Fun. This'll be good. Kyra pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers early in the summer. Head on out to the garage. I'll meet you there in just a minute. Sorry my mom can be so pushy. She gets some idea in her head, and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car, and Kyra wasn't too far behind. Okay, into the back, you two. Once the three of you were situated inside, Kyra started it and drove out of the residential area. When she hit a main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way. Hey! Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, you closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was going to be good for getting air dried. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration. You disabled the back? Sorry, can't hear you. Smiling deviously, Kyra turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. I feel like I would kind of laugh at it, cause honestly, that shit's funny. You yelled into the wind and burst into laughter. Looking over at Cove, you saw him relax. He seemed glad that you were having fun. And then something struck the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car's seats and were blown about. Ah! Oh, they can't go out the windows. Cove began to haphazardly reach around the space to try and get it all back under wraps. I feel like I would still be kind of amused, but I would help. Mom, close the windows. Kyra offered no response other than a chuckle. She just kept driving. Okay, now it's too much, cause I don't know what these papers are, but dude needs them, and if they're flying out the windows, yikes. Cove snatched several of the papers out of the air, and you caught others, preventing most of them from flying out the window on your side. You showed Cove your collection while grinning widely. I think we got pretty much all of them. You figured if they were sitting out in the back of the car, they couldn't be important enough to get upset over, but Cove continued looking annoyed. Your smile started to slip, and at that his expression softened. I hope so. Thanks for helping. The sun set completely, and at that Kyra rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fists. My mom is crazy. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. I feel like I'd still feel pretty good about things. The evening had really turned out to be more interesting than you expected. Grinning, you were happy with your odds with whatever else happened next. Cove watched you with interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. I bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tricked. I'm gonna side with Cove on this one. That was while it was funny, still kind of yikes. Yeah, you didn't tell us you'd trap us like that. My bad. Kyra continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kyra lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her coy smirk. Does anyone know what we drove past during the dry cycle? I'm not sure I want to. A movie theater. Okay. Most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show. Really, Mom? We don't even know what'd be playing. That's what makes it fun. I want to see a movie. Both of you? He seemed hesitant. You gave him a smile, and Cove eased up a bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating impulsive behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment when you can. We might never have another night like this. And don't worry, Blake. I said I'd watch over you for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there. I didn't bring any shoes. You should always bring shoes when you're going out. He didn't know we were going out though. I didn't know we were going anywhere. I thought we were just gonna be in the car. We'll sneak through quick, no one will notice. You can do it just this once. You bounced in your seat excitedly that it was actually going to happen. Kyra was right, you never got to do stuff like this. Kyra drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite being hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint towards the cinema. You hurried behind, but you figured the cold tarmac on his bare feet was what was fueling him on ahead. Inside, you noticed there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kyra paid that no mind and strode up towards the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking around. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing still would have if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. I don't know, you want my shoes? Consult him? Give him my shoes? I don't know, sure, offer him my shoes. They probably wouldn't fit someone of his size, but still. He already let you borrow something of his. I can give you my shoes. His eyebrows rose at the offer, then his expression softened into an appeased smile. That's really nice, but I think we'd get caught for sure if we started changing shoes out in the middle of the lobby. Alright. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Kyra returned with the tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove towards the showing room. I am so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on. We've almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing. Yes. Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kyra couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kyra pointed at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kyra sighed contentedly. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you. Do you have any idea what the movie is? No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you quickly that it was a horror film, one about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. Definitely psyched. I love a good horror movie. Going in, you weren't sure what to expect, but this was a fantastic surprise. You hoped this turned out to be good and scary. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bit down on his bottom lip and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned about him early on. Yeah, definitely grab his hand. Your fingers wrapped tight around his, and he jumped slightly at the unexpected touch. But his expression softened when he peeked at you out of the corner of his eyes. He gave your hand a squeeze to silently voice support. That made you feel good. Sometimes the other people in the theater screamed or jeered or clapped, depending on what was happening. Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. You stayed to let the credits roll and for the theater to clear out. Then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kyra was exuding an upbeat, cheerful energy. What a great flick. It wasn't so bad in the end. You enjoyed it, baby? No, I mean, it's hard to explain. I got really tense, and I guess that's the point of horror stuff, but I kind of don't want to have to feel like that. Now that it's all over, though, it was sort of cool to do. That's so great. Blake, how are you feeling? It was awesome. Let's fucking go. Kyra smiled at that. I still can't believe they died. It's nice when things aren't all obvious and you don't really know how it'll end until you see it, but I wanted it to go better. Not I demand a happier ending. Yeah, I demand a happier ending. Yeah. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbed in conversation about the movie. So, who's hungry? You were surprised when you realized Kyra didn't drive you home, but to a drive-through burger restaurant instead. Why not? That's the spirit. Get whatever you want. I would get French fries, onion rings, chicken nuggets, and a soda. That's everything. Is that alright? It's A-okay. Cove was tickled by the size of your list and had no disapproval over it. Kyra pulled up to the window and ordered what you asked for. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa, What are you gonna do with all of that? Eat it? The whole menu? Even after Blake picked most of that already? That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it, and they're about $1 each. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed to your dad. He'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you. You're quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kyra exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to you both in the back seats. She then drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. You chose one of the wrapped sandwiches and handed it to her. You had no idea if it was a burger or something else. Thanks very much. Accepting that this was what was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling food out of the bags for himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings and he happily munched on them. Make sure I grabbed something you liked. You weren't even questioning Kyra's crazy ride anymore. The adventure continued and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kyra turned to look over her shoulder. Okay, party people, it seems we've reached the end of the road. Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except empty road ahead. And then you noticed it, the now leaving sign. Kyra took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kyra turned the car around and parked it along the side of the road. I think you both could use a break to stretch your legs, and I doubt anyone is going to come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. Okay, I guess I'll follow Cove. You got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while he strolled around. Not being there was exciting. I don't get what your mama's up to, but you were delighted with the wide open sky above and the unobstructed view of the landscape around. It was freeing. It's amazing we're all the way out here. Cove smiled, glancing from the stars to you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression changed. His eyebrows furrowed, and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next. Blake, I'm really sorry for my mom being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this, seriously. Why is she being like this now? I think she feels like she has to get out there and do things with me while she can, and she wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different from the others, and it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kyra's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all the trouble to be worth it in the end. Are you having a good time with your mom around? Yeah, it's still weird having her and Dad in the same house, but I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her, most of the time. It went silent between you both, so you jumped when you heard the sound of a car door closing. Cove! Blake! You turned to see Kyra by the driver's side, waving. The sight brought a smile to Cove's face, and she quickly made her way over to where you both were standing. Thanks for waiting. I didn't mind. How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair, and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. You thought about how interesting it was to see how Cove interacted with his mom. And then the memory hit you. That first summer, you and Cove came to this very spot in his runaway attempt to find his way back to his mom. and now you are all here together. Whisper about it to Cove, because I don't know if his mom knows about that. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in close to share the moment just with him. Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you went to try seeing her when you moved to Sunset Bird. Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom, worried that she heard. When he was satisfied she didn't, he turned back. Yeah, it's weird, but she doesn't know what happened. At least, I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine so she doesn't worry. Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna be the one to tell her shit. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratorial smile. Anyways, it's kind of cool to be here, right on the edge of town. Exactly. We're standing on a precipice. I think so too. I knew you'd get it. It's good to appreciate these times and places. Kyra let out a big breath of air. We should probably call it a night, huh? Shrugged. A part of you was surprised Kyra was finally throwing in the towel. Kyra shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking the seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewn about. You rested your head into the seat as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in close to whisper. I can talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. Thank you. You're welcome. Also, don't worry about bringing the shirt back when we get home. Just keep it. Aw, stop. They're so cute. Until tomorrow? He simply shook his head. Your face went warm. He was giving it to you. Thanks. Cove smiled bashfully at you, but said nothing else. The drive home was smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. Definitely your head came to rest on Cove 1,000%. You were too tired to keep your head up, and it felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issues there. He leaned into it. He must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like that. It was warm and comfortable. Not the darkness. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It was somehow already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting up in bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It would almost have felt like a dream if you weren't still wearing the shirt Cove had let you take. It definitely happened. And you were glad that you got to have a spontaneous escapade this summer. Cool beans, cool beans. Y'all, I will be back in a minute. Just gotta do something real quick, but I will return. friends, how we feeling? How we doing? I am back. We are chilling. We're gonna hop into soiree here, and depending on how much time is left, we might be able to squeeze in a Derek moment. Who the fuck knows? I mean, we do still have like over an hour before the stream ends, so we will see how we do. Yeah, let's hop back into soiree and get this show on the road, shall we? Yeah, because it's soiree, and I believe because the moments are the same technically, that will blank out here too, meaning that the 4 moments for Derek will be responsible, lemonade, siblings, and boardwalk. Now, if memory serves, I think Cove shows up in lemonade, but I think that's it. So the other 3 are just Derek moments. Okay, times for soiree. You'd whiled away the morning, doing whatever struck your fancy, and now you were recharging with lunch. With nothing on the horizon, you were free to spend as much or as little time on your plate as you wanted. It was while you were thinking on all the possibilities for your afternoon that your moms approached you. Hi, Blake. You okay? Mouth full, you nodded in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything. Oh, what do you troublemakers want? Great, we wanted to have a little chat with you. The qualifier little did nothing to downplay the situation. Your chewing slowed as your eyes widened, looking from one parent to the other. Anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. Definitely unsettling. You didn't like being the only one not knowing what was going on. Stomach churning, you waited for them to fill you in. Aw, don't look so worried. It's nothing scary, promise. There's a soiree at the Caprice tomorrow night. Your ma and I are going. The Caprice was the country club your moms were part of and where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other month they had some event or another, with fancy names like soiree. Chewing your lip, you wondered what this had to do with you. Mom chuckled at your poorly concealed reaction. Leaning in, Ma took your hand and squeezed it. We've decided to make the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home fully alone for the first time. You'll still be coming to the party with us. It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family around, not yours. Sorry, you've got to wait a couple more years. I would be disappointed. Like, why I gotta go just 'cause you wanna let Elizabeth be alone? That doesn't feel fair. I feel like I could hang out at like fucking Cove's house or something. Like, I don't feel like going to the thing is necessary. Crossing your arms over your chest, you leaned back in your seat. So much for the big talk. This was all about Elizabeth. Don't worry, we're not done yet. There's something in this for you. You were not yet convinced, but you gave your moms the benefit of the doubt and listened. Your parents shared a look across the table. You cleared your throat, reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints and then turned coy when the conversation was about to get good. Since it's a pretty fancy party, that's still chaperoned. and attendees are allowed to bring a guest, we thought it might be a nice opportunity for you to invite someone yourself as a date, if you want. Your eyes widened as the words sunk in. Your mom's continued, and it was a struggle to keep up. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to eat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Ma nodded at Mom's interjection. Yes, as long as you don't leave the party. And if you'd rather bring just a friend, that's a-okay too. I feel like I wouldn't know. At 13, I don't think I'd know how to react. Your parents were smiling at you, clearly expecting a response, but you were still too shocked to formulate anything of the kind. You hadn't imagined this was where the talk was going. The soiree isn't until tomorrow, so you've got time. Just let us know your plans before we're heading out. And that's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now. Your moms rose from their chairs in unison, disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you could think of was what had just happened. The remnants of your lunch stared up at you from your plate. I guess finish eating? The conversation had taken your mind off the meal, but you opted to try to eat a little more. You picked at the plate for a little while longer. Even though you'd relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that had unfolded at the dining table downstairs. You knew that. I don't think I'll bring anybody. Sighing, you shifted position on the bed, resting your arms on the windowsill. A flock of birds caught your eye and led your gaze as they crossed the sky. You watched the birds grow smaller and less distinct until they disappeared from sight. Like the snap of a hypnotist's fingers, you were released from the trance and left with a goal of your own. You were going to take a walk. You ambled through the familiar streets of your neighborhood, picking your path at whim. It was as quiet as ever, with tourists choosing to congregate in the shopping area near the beach rather than venture into the sleepy residential zones. You continued down the road and soon found yourself at the shore. The fresh, salty air hit you first, rolling to meet you over the grassy dunes that tickled your legs, followed by the familiar view of the sea stretching out across the horizon. You came to a halt. A lone figure was standing in the ocean, the water reaching up to his knees. Though he had his back to you, you recognized the familiar silhouette as Cove's. It made sense that you'd find him here. He always was in his element by the sea. You had no idea if he heard your arrival or if it was a coincidence, but he looked over his shoulder. Your eyes met. You smiled. It was only natural to do after seeing him. Cove smiled at you. Bathed in the soft light of the afternoon sun, with his hair gently tousled by the sea breeze, he looked especially charming. He then fully turned around and began to wade through the water over to the shore. You relaxed after running into him. You were alright with all this. It just felt nice to have come across Cove right at this moment. The question of whether to invite him, and if so in what fashion, was in front of you, between leaping into a world unknown or enjoying the safety of the familiar. Hey Blake, are you free right now? Not exactly. My moms are taking me to a soiree tomorrow at the country club. It was kind of a strange segue, but you wanted to get right to the point. A soiree, huh? Sounds exciting. He was smiling politely, but you could tell that your outing mention hadn't sparked much interest. That didn't come as much of a surprise to you. Formal affairs and big gatherings were some of his least favorite things, but you were sure he'd attend if you were the one who invited him. You only had to do it. Cove tilted his head curiously at you. You decided not to ask him at all. You didn't feel like having a guest. As much as you liked Cove, that wasn't something you wanted to do together with him. You were pretty positive he'd prefer staying home anyway. Yep, it's gonna be just me and my parents. Elizabeth's staying home. Oh. A beat passed with him just looking on. And then the moment passed. That's a big thing for them to let you do. I hope it's fun. The strain had gone from his smile, which was back to being genuine. Thanks for letting me know you're not going to be around tomorrow. No problem. You can get back to what you were doing now. I can tell you're real busy. That's right. The ocean isn't going to swim in itself. Someone has to do it. Shaking your head, you waved Cove off as he crossed down the shore. And then you began to head back home, feeling good that you had settled your plans for tomorrow. You crossed the threshold of your house as alone as you were when you'd first set out. You'd considered the available options, limited as they were, and you hadn't felt right about any of them attending tomorrow's event with you. At the sound of the door opening, your mom popped her head into the hall. Hi, Blake. How's it going? I was thinking about what you and Ma said about the soiree tomorrow. There isn't really anybody I'd want to take. Your mom seemed unfazed by your decision, nodding as you came to join her in the living room. You dropped onto the sofa, comforted by the cushions that pressed into you. Oh, that's fine. There's gonna be plenty to do at the party anyway, so it'll be a good time for just the three of us. No need to push yourself into going with anyone if you don't want to. It'll be relaxing without Elizabeth there for once complaining about everything. For fucking real, though. Yeah, hopefully she won't be so stressed over what we're wearing when she's not going to be seen with us. You pulled a face, having been on the receiving end of more than one of Elizabeth's tirades about tarnishing her reputation. She's one of those people. Maybe I should test it. I'm thinking about digging the big flowery hat out of the old dress-up box. Would be the best way to check. Don't rile your sister up, especially not when we're going to be leaving the house in her hands right after. And the rest of the afternoon passed by just like that. Back in your room, you idly thought about the upcoming soiree. You were pleased that you didn't have the pressure of taking someone else as a guest, leaving you free to relax and enjoy the evening with your moms. There would be more chances to take someone to one of those shindigs, whether as a guest or even a date. The country club threw parties often enough. For now, you were happy to be left to your own devices. You were definitely looking forward to the big night. The evening of the soiree had arrived, the daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention at least, but you hadn't settled on an outfit. Stationed in front of your wardrobe, you scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Ma had mentioned this event was a bit dressier than a normal get-together, you didn't necessarily have to comply. Okay, I mean, sure, Sure, we'll go formal, I guess. You attempted to decide between the nicer pieces in your wardrobe, the ones that rarely had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because, I honestly like dressing up. I think if I got to dress up in a way that actually made me comfortable when I was younger, I wouldn't have been so against it for so long. There was something magical about the sheen of an elegant fabric and the cut of formal wear, something that transformed everyone into a more sophisticated version of their normal self. To start, you decided to wear gotta go button-down shirt. Crisp shirts were a classic formal look for a reason. They were essentially foolproof. You paired your top with definitely dress pants. You picked a pair that complemented the color of your top and nodded with satisfaction. It was a slick look. You began to get dressed, your fingers working stiff zippers and awkward fastenings. It felt different against your skin, reminding you with every movement that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased that you'd gotten the opportunity to wear this. Now dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs, ready to head out. You found your moms already waiting in the living room. They were putting the finishing touches on their outfits, Ma strapping her heel into a stiletto shoe, and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet single-handedly. They looked up as you entered. "Aw, Blake, you look so nice, don't you think, Pam?" "Thanks for dressing up, Blake. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp." Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You lent a hand, literally, by taking one side and holding it as she secured the clasp. "Thanks, kiddo." Mom's eyes then flicked to the clock on the wall. "It's about that time. We should say bye to Elizabeth before we head out. Who knows? She might not make it through the night, and this'll be our last chance." Ma shook her head at her wife's choice in jokes. Mom just chuckled. "Elizabeth." Moments after the call, you heard your sister's feet on the stairs. Elizabeth waltzed into the room, eyebrow arched. She'd been summoned but wouldn't be hurried. "You're still here?" "Well, I know you're excited, but we haven't even said goodbye. And I want to go over how things are going to play out." Elizabeth sighed as Mom began listing the rules, ticking them off on her fingers. "No ordering takeout or other deliveries. You can't have anyone else come over." "Uh-huh." She nodded, resigned to her fate, listening to a set of rules she could predict without so much as a glance at a crystal ball. "If anything happens, you can call us or go across the street to the Holdens. Keep the noise down. This house might be empty, but there are people all around in the neighborhood." "Mm-hmm." Usual house rules still apply. Don't do anything you wouldn't do if we were here. And we'll be back no later than 11:30 p.m., but we'll call if there are any issues, so don't tie up the phone line all night." "Right. All done? Can you go now?" Ma strode over and swept Elizabeth up in a hug. Your sister let out a small noise, her eyes widening, and suddenly looked much less like the smug teenager she acted like. "You're such a big girl now. I still can't believe it." Elizabeth rolled her eyes. This wasn't the quick departure that she'd been hoping for. Any chance of it ending soon vanished as Mom joined in the hug. "Neither can I. It feels like it was only yesterday that..." Elizabeth groaned, trying to cut the reminiscing off without success. Join in the hug. Have a family that loves you." Mom and Ma held out their arms to you as you approached, welcoming you into the hug. Elizabeth whined, eager for this to come to an end already. Can you all just go? Jeez. The embrace finally ended as your moms unlinked their arms from your sister. Fine, we really do have to be going. Bye, sweetie. Ring if you need us. Goodbye. Mom bounced her finger on the tip of Elizabeth's nose. Elizabeth wrinkled in disgust. Yeah, I never personally understood the teenage phase of hating your parents or being embarrassed or disgusted or irritated or whatever at your parents. Did I just completely miss that part of development because I didn't deal with that? Then again, I also had pretty weird parents, so I think I was just already used to it. I was already desensitized. Take care. We'll see you later. Yeah, bye. See you in a few hours. See you later. If you ever leave. Now I can finally enjoy the private time I was promised? Your moms laughed at her insistence to get you all out of the door. That is kind of funny. She tended to be the one who rubbed others the wrong way. It was entertaining having the tables turned on her. With another brief round of goodbyes and Elizabeth seconds away from literally pushing your group out of the house, the three of you bundled into the car and set off to the party. So, Blake, how do you want to tackle the party? Not I'm a lone wolf. I'll give you two some space. Oh, are you sure? We don't mind. I think that was code for I want my space. Alright. The ride continued on with some silence and moments of casual conversation. Almost there. Have you got your dancing shoes on? You looked down at your feet. The shoes were as stiff as if you'd just picked them off the rack. You didn't have much cause to break them in. The label didn't say. Fair enough. You pulled up at the country club. The sun had sunk deep into the horizon, the last of its light sleepily warming the oncoming night. Your moms led the way to the space around the back where the actual event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration, with stark tablecloths and elegant ribbons contributing to the festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were setting up their instruments and flicking through pages of sheet music. And, as promised, there was a table covered in plates of beautiful food. The space itself wasn't the only thing you recognized. There were a number of familiar faces who were also regulars here. You and your parents exchanged greetings and caught up with those you hadn't seen in a while. There was a lot of cooing compliments about how wonderful you looked. Before you knew it, the sun had tucked itself away for the night. Taking its place were hundreds of twinkling lights. The party was beginning in earnest, which meant you needed to figure out how you were going to make the most of it. Get some snacks. You moved towards the refreshment table. The food was all tiny and bite-sized, ready to be picked up and sampled by on-the-move attendees. It was immediately apparent that there was plenty to choose from. Just from the level of care with which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. I feel like if you really come to this stuff like that often, you probably know it and know what you like. Your eyes widened as you took in the display before you. These were luxuries only doled out for special occasions. It was rare that you got such a good opportunity to feast on such delicacies. You savored each mouthful, marveling over the care that had gone into balancing the flavor of the tiny dishes. The biggest difficulty was knowing what to pick next. You considered each option carefully, trying to sequence compatible flavor combinations and taste a little bit of everything, though every so often you'd spot something that you just couldn't resist. Moved on to something else. Watch the band play, why not? You decided to go check out the band who'd started playing earlier. Staying clear of the dance floor, you kept to the side and took a position close to the band set. You weren't the only one. There were a few others stationed close by to better appreciate the music. The players were focusing intently on their craft, too busy with their performance to acknowledge your approach. They were all on string instruments, though there was a keyboard set up nearby, maybe for another song or for special requests. You thought the playing was good. The sound was melodious and suitable for the event. The musicians were doing a fine job of keeping pace with each other, and you didn't hear any obvious mistakes. Move on. Search for someone to dance with. Now that's an option. Hold on, I need water first. Yeah, search for someone to dance with. You toed the edge of the dance floor, looking for someone who might be interested in joining you. Feeling a tap on your shoulder, you glanced behind you to find a boy with dark brown eyes standing there. At a guess, you estimated he was around your age, maybe a little older. Are you planning on dancing? Yeah, if I can find a partner. Smiling, the stranger nodded at your response. We should dance then. It's perfect timing. A new song is just about to start. You were surprised at how easily he asked you. Damn. He simply continued to look over your face, even lifting his hand up for you to take. Not told him off. Yeah, why not? You accepted. You were happy to dance with him. You took his hand in yours. The only acknowledgement he gave was a casual wisp of a smile. You suspected this was as routine for him as a handshake. Together, you walked out onto the dance floor. The boy's stance shifted into proper form for formal dancing, confirming your earlier suspicions. He'd clearly had lessons in this area, which explained his casual attitude about securing a dance. A lot of the country club parents put their kids in classes like that, whether as part of a last-minute panic before a big event or a weekly extracurricular as soon as the kid could walk. Never taken classes. From the way he confidently guided you into position, you would guess that he'd been one who was enrolled in dance classes for some time. Yet you had come to the country club quite a few times over the years. You struggled to recall seeing him before. The first notes of the new song caught you off guard. You began to dance, your unknown partner taking the lead. You were aware that almost all of the other dancing couples were men paired with women, which was not the case for you and this boy. At ease. This was a welcoming environment. Your two moms wouldn't be members otherwise. Not being the majority didn't mean there was any problem with it. The two of you danced to the music. While it was evident that the boy had plenty of experience, he He seemed to adapt to what you were doing and didn't expect you to stick to any particular routine. Being able to fit his partner so well made his talent more striking rather than less. You wondered what his motives for picking you were. Had the decision been entirely random? Though you were curious, short of asking him outright, there was no way you could tell. The style of dance dictated by the music meant you were spending a solid few minutes in very close proximity to someone you'd never met before. It was peculiar to think that you didn't even know his name, but you were near enough to notice a small birthmark on his neck. You could just ask for his name, but he'd shown no inclination to talk once you begun dancing. While you were considering this, the song came to an end. Oh. Your hands released and he politely took a step back. Thank you for dancing with me. You have nice legs. He breezed away before you could formulate a response to the unprompted compliment. It wasn't a feature you were accustomed to people commenting on, good or bad. He disappeared into the crowded dance floor just like that. It was a mystery if you'd seen him around the country club again, or if this was the first and last time he would saunter into your life. Want to do something else? Sit at one of the tables. You pulled up a chair at one of the free tables. It felt nice to relax and take a load off. No effort had been spared when it came to decorations, but there wasn't much to actually do once you were sat down. You wished that you'd come prepared for this. Longingly, you thought of having at something like this, probably a book. It might not be the easiest situation to read in, as the band was playing and there was a constant buzz of chatter in the air, but you would have loved to slip into another world. We'll stay at the table. The band announced that the next song would be their last, though the declaration lured a few more people to the dance floor. It was still clear that the party was winding down. The number of guests had dwindled steadily over the course of the evening. The refreshment table, once crammed with plates full of food, was host to sad platters of what little morsels remained. The nearing conclusion of the soiree prompted you to look around for your parents. Within moments, you spotted them heading towards you. Blake, there you are. Good to see you again, kiddo. Your mom's had a lot to say about the evening and what you'd been up to. I saw you cutting a rug on the dance floor. Your mom said it in a joking tone and did a boogieing mime to accompany it. Yeah, I did that. Mom just laughed at the reaction. Who was that guy you were dancing with earlier? I didn't recognize him. Me neither. I didn't catch his name. Ooh, mysterious. He must have been a guest of a member, or he could have been visiting the area. The Caprice has other branches in different towns. It seemed the topic would have to be left there. It was unanimous that nobody knew anything. It was unanimous. Jesus Christ, no brain. Nobody knew anything. How was the food? Good. You don't get stuff like that every day. Very true. Wasn't the band lovely? There's nothing like a live performance. Yeah, I liked it. But I hope you weren't getting bored, sat at the table for so long. I was fine. Alright then, let's get ready to get back to Elizabeth. If we're lucky, the house might still be standing. Ma swatted your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people making the most of the final song on the dance floor, as well as those exchanging farewells and suppressing yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite the weariness that was starting to creep in. you had a good time too. In addition to the good memories you'd made, you felt a little more grown up as a result of attending the party. Turning away, you shelved the thought for another time as your moms led the way back to the car. You hurried to catch up to them, feeling childlike once more. Okay, another one done. However, I don't know how long this next one would be, so I don't know if we should just maybe we'll call it here for the night? I don't know. Yeah, so I was right though about the soiree. From my understanding, I'm pretty sure. So we went alone, but I'm pretty sure you can take Cove. And given the fact that it's here, I think you can also opt to bring Derek. Um, yeah. Mind you, I think all options are very sweet and lead to some really cute moments. I just have a preference for having my character go alone is all. Um, yeah. So we've got 4 moments left. These are Derek moments. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Cove makes an appearance in Lemonade, but I think that's it. Um, Otherwise, um, yeah, we just kind of hang out. I also think we get to know his family better. Um, like his mom and his dad and his two little brothers. I also just absolutely adore the way this game, like, includes so many different types of families. Like, you have Cove, who's the child of divorce, and then you have my character and Elizabeth, who are both adopted by their moms. And then you have the Suarez family, being the big family that they are. Shiloh, I think, was just him and his mom. Um, it's cool. It gives you peeks of different types of families and stuff, and I think that's really neat. Uh, I am gonna call it here for tonight, though, I think. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I'm going to do a quick little save. So that means tomorrow we will be hanging out specifically with our dude Derek. Let's fucking go. The goal for me personally is probably gonna be responsible lemonade and siblings. Then the next day will be boardwalk and then summer ended, because if between step 1 and 2 was anything to go off of, then the stuff between takes quite a bit. So by doing that, theoretically, we should get wrapped up all nice and good for that means theoretically Friday. Yeah, going off of that means in theory that depending on how long these moments are, Friday we should be starting step 3 with everybody. But yeah, on that note, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. Sorry it's a bit of a shorter stream. I also have some other stuff to go take care of though, which I'm probably gonna do with this little extra time. But as always, thank you again. And as always, take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves. It's hard being a person. You're doing the best you can. I am proud of you. And don't forget to live a life that pisses off a bigot. Bye, y'all.